everybody. This is Gretchen Hogg and Dr. Jerry Eddington, and this is your last module out of this series of Transitioning Through Change. And today's module is called Visioning and Goal Setting, Projecting Your Tomorrow and Heading Towards It Today. And we really love this one because this in particular really is the culmination of everything that we've gone over in all of the other modules. So just a reminder a little bit about myself. I am a mind, body, soul coach, hypnotherapist, educator, and I like to call myself a catalyst for change. And my commitment to you is to assist you to lighten up and thrive and co-create a joy-filled life aligned with your divine purpose. And Jerry, how about introducing yourself again?
Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry. I am a soul success coach, an educator, a mediator, energy healer, and facilitator of change. And my commitment is to assist you in co-creating the life you are meant to live so you can lighten up and thrive.
So we welcome you. And, Jerry, you want to go over the learning outcomes for today?
Yes, and as Gretchen mentioned earlier, we really are excited about this particular module. It's really packed full of great information. And the learning outcomes, part 1, the power of the questions. Part 2, visioning, what it is and why it's important. Part 3, goal setting, getting from point A to point B. And part 4, the power of visioning and goal setting.
Beautiful. I love it. Really exciting topic. So this really is about exploring the visioning and goal setting so that we really want you to be able to implement these strategies right away. So when Jerry mentioned for part the power of the questions that we ask, how the questions we ask ourselves and the answers we can get really dramatically impacts on our lives. And part 2, the visioning, what it is and why it's important, is how having a vision, a mental picture of what we desire, is an important key to success in life. And then part 3, that goal setting, getting from point A to point B, how goals can get us from where we are to where we want to be in our lives. And that's that whole part of transformation. And then the fourth part, the power of visioning and goal setting, you're going to learn how to use a tool that powerfully merges both visioning and goal setting. So let's start your discovery. We've all heard it said that you can't buy happiness, but really what exactly does that mean? This phrase is really alluding to the fact that the ingredients for happiness are to be found inside a person and not through outward material possessions. I also like to think this phrase hints at something else, though, and Jerry and I have talked about this a lot, and that is that if approached from a slightly different perspective, and we talked about that last module about the kaleidoscope, shifting the perspectives, right? So if approached from a slightly different perspective, the idea of buying happiness can actually help us to identify what we desire and what will bring us fulfillment. So let's begin our time together by giving you some free money. Wouldn't that be nice? And let's see just what kind of happiness you're in the market to buy. So you're going to pull out your very first worksheet, and that worksheet is entitled Buying Happiness. And in this worksheet, we're going to ask you to imagine that we're giving you $1,000 for you to spend any way you would like. We only have one condition, though. You have to spend the entire amount on yourself. So what would you do with the money? What would you buy just for yourself? So take a few moments to think about that. And on the left side of that column on your worksheet number 1, Buying Happiness, what would you do with the money? So take a moment and record your answers right in that yourself column. And then determine the degree of happiness you think this purchase would bring you, using that 10-point scale rating system where 1 is not happy and 10 is intensely happy. So how happy would you feel as a result of spending the money according to your decision? So put your response down there. And now, same scenario, but this time we're going to ask you, if we gave you $1,000 to spend any way you would like with this condition, you have to spend it on someone else, the entire amount on someone else. So what would you do with the money? What would you buy for someone else? So take a moment to think about that. And then once you've decided what you would do with the money, record your answer on the worksheet under someone else column, and then, like on the other side, determine in that 10-point rating system how happy would you feel as a result of spending the money according to your decisions on that scale from 1 to 10, with 1 not happy and 10 intensely happy. And now compare the intensity and the duration of happiness in the two scenarios. And here's some really potent questions, the self-reflection questions. When you think about what you would do with the money in these two scenarios, what do your answers tell you about what it is that you desire in your life? What do your answers to these two scenarios tell you about what is possible for you if there was nothing holding you back, no roadblocks? And this is a really potent part of the visioning process. And guess what? It's okay if your intensely happy rating system was for yourself too. Either way, it doesn't matter. But this is a huge part of going into the visioning part of this process. So, Jerry, will you want to review those key points?
Sure. The key points from this section: if we never ask ourselves the question, what if, we miss out on seeing what's possible for us and the people that we love. I asked you to imagine getting free money and spending it on yourself or someone else, and it was easy to think of things you would spend the money on. You then thought about the happiness this would bring you. There's a lesson here, and the lesson is that we forget to dream and imagine the good things we want for ourselves and others. We fail to create a vision for our future. Visioning and goal setting is about exploring what's possible, just like when you were given the free money and asked to think about how you would spend it.
Absolutely, and that's the whole part of creating that vision for our futures. So this module is meant to help you create a vision and set goals to get to that vision. Before we look at some of the features of visioning and goal setting, it's important to recognize first the power of the questions we ask and realize how the answers to these questions clarify what we desire. And for those of you who use search engines on your computers, this is another way to look at it. You can get totally different responses by how you program in your search questions. So part one that we'd like to go into now is about the power of the questions that we ask and therefore the answers that we get. There is a direct connection between the questions that we ask ourselves and our state of mind. In fact, the questions that we ask ourselves and the answers to those questions directly impact the experience and the directions of our lives. Please pull out your worksheet number 2, which is powerful questions. And take a moment to read over the questions presented on the worksheet. And then pick the question on the worksheet that you personally find to be the most potent, the one that entices and intrigues you the most. So those questions would be, number 1, what would your life look like if it had no restrictions and you knew that you could achieve anything that you wanted? And the second one is, in what areas of your life are you tolerating less than the best of what you desire? And the third, what challenges are repeatedly blocking you from performing at your highest potential? And then the fourth one, what must happen next for you to move closer to your personal vision of excellence? So as you look at those questions, pick which one is the most potent for you. And don't think too hard about an answer, but instead just let that answer come to the surface in more of a spontaneous type of way and as raw as possible. Take a few moments to think about your answers. You can pause the recording and then fill in the answers. And I know for myself, Jerry, I'm going to ask you too, which question that you thought was the most potent for you. I know that number 3, what challenges are repeatedly blocking me from performing at my highest potential? And this is something that I know I work on a lot, and that has to do with sort of that negative self-talk. You know, those questions about self-doubt and am I good enough? So is there one of the questions that pops out most at you?
I would say for me it was number 4, what must happen next for you to move closer. And part of what I'm working on is clearing electronic clutter, both in my computer and social media networking, and really looking at the connections I'm making and where I'm spending my time. That's what I've been working on.
Which beautifully ties in what we went in the kaleidoscope of choices in our last module.
Absolutely.
So that's perfect for that too. The questions for self-reflection is, number 1, looking at the questions that you picked, and what was it about that question that really made you connect to it? And then how did it feel when you were answering the question? And when you can answer those questions, that gives you some new insights about what you've gained from responding to the questions. So, Jerry, you want to go over those key points for this one?
If you ask the right questions, the answers can be the start of a vision for your life. Questions are thoughtful reflections that tap into your hopes and dreams. Questions can help clarify where you are and where you want to go, who you are, and who you wish to become. Your answers to the questions reveal the fulfillment you seek. If you want to open your world up to what is possible, begin by asking yourself, what do I want? This is why visioning is so important.
Let's take a look into what visioning is and further explore why it is so important. And so we're going to go into part 2. Aristotle once said, the soul never thinks without a mental picture. The soul never thinks without a mental picture. Having a vision is important to having success in life. However, having a vision demands that we look inside at who we are and what we want so we can better understand what actions that we need to take. Looking inside is necessary in order to establish that mental picture that Aristotle spoke about. So let's prime the pump by experiencing this idea of creating a mental picture. So this activity is called going over the waterfall. So I'm going to take you into a visualization. And I'm going to do this through guiding you through several scenarios. This is going to help you practice creating more vibrant or vivid mental pictures to really visualize the narrative that I'm going to guide you through. So first, make sure that you've got yourself really comfortable, whether you're sitting in your chair or maybe you even want to lie down for a moment with this, and make sure that you're unencumbered and that you're free from any other distractions. And I'm going to turn on some music. And I also do want to just say that if for any reason that you have any issues with water or waterfalls, anything like that, you can choose to just keep your eyes open. So taking a nice deep breath, feel your body go limp and relax. Feel that relaxation in your toes. Wiggle those toes. And then in your feet. Wiggle those feet and allow them to relax. And then your legs, allow this like a liquid relaxation to flow up to your legs, up into your lower torso, all the way up into your chest, through your arms and your fingers, all the way up into your neck and your face. Relax those jaw muscles. Continue taking nice deep breaths and allow that liquid relaxation to flow all the way up into the very top of your head. Feel the tension flow out throughout every one of your fingers and your fingertips and your toes as you continue to breathe. Breathing in the word relaxation on your in-breath and peaceful and calm on your out-breath. Now imagine that you're on a beautiful, serene river that's carrying you away from all of the day's worries and concerns. You might see yourself on a raft, peacefully floating. Maybe even finding yourself winding through an exotic, mountainous landscape, or maybe a tropical landscape. Now, take notice of what you see as you float by. The lush vegetation, the colors of the water, maybe flowers along the embankment, trees, maybe an abundance of all those wildflowers of all different colors, a canopy of the treetops filtering the light, feeling that warmth of the light against your skin, the sun, the perfect temperature. And perhaps you see various kinds of wildlife, nature, maybe white puffy clouds float above you, and colorful birds from that canopy of the treetops. What time of day is it? What does the temperature feel like to you? And now take notice of the sounds that you hear and the intense smells that arouse that sense of smell in you, all those beautiful aromas. Enjoy floating down this But now let's add some excitement. You quickly hit some churning white water. Suddenly, you feel the cold spray of water on your arms and your face. A mist settles under the hairs of your arms. You feel your muscles strain with effort as you guide your raft around the rocks and struggle to keep it on course as the rapids get more and more forceful. You're safe and sound, but the water's rapids are picking up. Ooh, you look up ahead. What do you see? It's a waterfall. And guess what? You are about to go over it. You're safe and you're secure. But you are about to go over it, and your body feels an immediate stiffening. You close your eyes, and you feel the pounding of your heart in your throat as the raft falls out from underneath you, and you plunge over the top. But you know how to swim. You're safe and secure. Moments later, everything seems suddenly calm and quiet. You open up your eyes. It's unbelievably quiet. You take a look around. Where are you? In a moment of spatial displacement during your ride over the waterfall, you were magically transported into outer space. Like a feather, you're suddenly floating amongst the stars in the soft blackness that surrounds you. It's so quiet, so peaceful and beautiful. You feel that sense of oneness to everything around you. Make a note of how you feel and what you see. Capture it in your mind's eye. And for a moment, simply rest in this incredible experience that you've just imagined in your own movie, your mind's eye, using that beautiful, powerful imagination. See it, feel your experience, and listen to all of the sounds around you, or listen to that stillness. And now you're going to find yourself coming back down to the earth. Again, a spatial displacement brings you to your favorite vacation spot on earth. What does it look like? This is your favorite vacation spot, or maybe one you've seen in a magazine or in a photo. Use your imagination, make it rich and vivid in detail. What time of year is it? Notice everything around you. What's the temperature? What sounds, sights, and smells do you notice? What other details surround you? Relive your most favorite thing that you did the last time you were in your favorite vacation spot, or if it's one in your imagination, pretend and allow yourself to enjoy whatever that would be for you, your very favorite thing that you could imagine doing. Take a few moments to be in that special place in your mind's eye. And now, it's time to come back to the present time and place. Feel yourself back in your room. Feel your body grounded firmly in your chair. Or if you're lying down, send the energy down into your feet. Place your feet firmly on the ground. And also into your arms, wherever your arms are resting. Open up your eyes when you're ready and take in a nice deep cleansing breath in and out and reorient yourself to your room. And here are some questions, some self-reflection questions. What do you notice about the mental pictures your mind was able to create from this visualization? How easy or difficult was this for you to do? Could you see it in your mind's eye? Or maybe you were able to sense or feel better, whatever your dominant learning style is. And what made it easy or difficult? What role do feelings and emotions play in the mental pictures that we create? So just notice, you can pause the recording, take a few moments, and answer those questions. What did you notice about the mental picture? Was it easy or difficult? And what made it easy or difficult? And what role do you think feelings and emotions play in the mental pictures that we create? Pause your recording and answer those. And Jerry, before you review the key points, did you have a favorite place that you went to in your mind's eye?
I would say yes, and I'm looking at waterfall pictures as I'm telling you this too. Maui, Hawaii. I love Maui. That's one of my favorite places.
I went to Hawaii too. I love that. I love all the waterfalls and all that kind of thing. Just kind of capture your imagination and pay attention to maybe what your dominant learning style is. So, Jerry, how about those key points?
Visioning is a simple process of making a mental picture in your mind of what you want. That mental picture will likely invoke feelings and emotions, making its realization that much more desirable.
So what are some of the most important considerations that we have to keep in mind when creating and manifesting our vision? So we're going to go to Activity 2. This is about the pictogram, again, from Part 1. And if you look at that picture, that slide of the mountain summit, you'll see why the importance of having a vision and what gets in the way. But first, pull out that worksheet number 3. We're only going to do the left half of this right now, that visioning part. So I'll be giving you just a short presentation of visioning that you then can fill out the missing information on this worksheet, what we call the pictogram. So this on the left side of your worksheet number 3 is why a vision is so important, power of choice, guidance, potential, the foundational aspects, energizing, and navigational aspects, and then what gets in the way. You've heard about visioning and about making mental pictures of what you want. But why is having a vision so important? Well, we can't get what we want without having a vision. And there's 6 really important reasons for having a vision. The first thing is the power of choice, and you see that on the left side of worksheet number 3. Many people believe that they don't have the power to choose what's happening to them. Instead, it feels like their daily demands are running their lives. It's easy to think that we're just victims of our circumstances. But the truth is that we are not victims, and we are not powerless. Sure, some Some things are out of our control, but there are the vast majority of things that are in our control. No matter how limiting our days, weeks, months, or even years might feel, we do have choices that can positively shift the direction of our lives. So the second thing is guidance. Having a vision is like having your own personal guiding star. And you might want to write that down right next to guidance, having a personal guiding star. It gives you a direction to head that feels bigger than your day-to-day life and gives you meaning and purpose. And then the third thing is potential. A powerful vision, one that really connects with your deepest passions, will inspire you to reach your highest potential. A vision can remind you of what matters most. And in this way, you can reach your potential rather than having life's needs and pressures derail you from becoming all that you want to be. And then the fourth thing, having a vision is like laying the foundation for a very tall building. Because truly, for without a foundation, you wouldn't be able to build a structure that reaches way up to the sky, and that is so critically important, that foundation. Everything, not just buildings, though, needs to rest on solid footings, and that includes our lives. If you have no vision for what you want to be or achieve, you won't be able to build upon anything substantial. And the fifth thing is energizing. Having a vision will inspire you in addition to giving you a sense of direction. It will generate the energy you need to keep going. For without energy, we wouldn't be able to persevere. Let's face it, we will meet with adversity in life, that's a given. And that adversity can zap us of our energy. But by having a vision, our energy can be replenished and our drive renewed no matter what we face. And the sixth thing is navigational, this last reason for why it's so important to have a vision. Having a vision is like having a compass, a GPS system, and that keeps you on track and heading you in the right direction. Life is full of distractions, and it's easy to lose your way if you are not guided by your vision. Your vision allows you to check in and make sure that you are on track. Unfortunately, these are really powerful reasons, but despite all of them, there's also things that can get in the way and keep you stuck. So we're going to talk about roadblocks, because there are several common roadblocks to become aware of so that they don't sabotage you and your success. The first thing is being dazzled by the current moments of life and giving no thought and no preparation to our futures. True, we have to live in the present, but we also have to have an eye on the future. So being dazzled. And the second thing is being comfortable. Being comfortable with what's familiar in life, even if what's familiar is making us uncomfortable. Change is scary. And becoming a different person and living a different life, even if that's what we want. We can dissuade ourselves from taking action. And if you remember way back when, it's sort of like that metaphor of the trapeze artist where you've got to let go and be in that limbo land before you can reach the next trapeze bar. The third thing is being attached. This roadblock, being attached to yesterday's successes and thinking that future successes won't happen. It's scarcity thinking, to believe that our best days are behind us and that the future will not offer up new forms of abundance and opportunity. And the fourth roadblock is being invested in doing it all by yourself. We become so self-reliant that we believe that everything is up to us, or it just won't happen. So to reach our vision will require the help of many people along the way sometimes, even if it's just for support. We need to be open to their assistance. And the fifth roadblock is being impatient. Being impatient with the obscure. What do I mean by that? We fret when we're not in control. It's scary to let go of the reins and trust that possibilities that we can't see are just around the corner. Not everything will need to fulfill our dreams as apparent to us at the start of our journey. But that doesn't mean it won't reveal itself to us at the time we need it most. Having a vision often means that there will be times when we will have to act on faith. And the sixth roadblock is being minimal. Being minimal when viewing our lives and what's possible for us. Because if we don't believe that our lives can become more than they currently are, we won't venture out to meet our destiny. We cannot become what we believe is beyond our reach. And as Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I love that quote. So pause the recording and take a moment to reflect on those 6 roadblocks. Those roadblocks getting in the way. And you can actually put those down in the bottom on the left side of that visioning worksheet. Being dazzled is number 1. Being comfortable is number 2. Being attached is number 3. Being invested is number 4. Being impatient is number 5. And being minimal is number 6. And what stands out most for you out of those concepts around roadblocks? Another thing is, really we'd like you to know that we don't want you to think that a vision by itself will just change your life, because there are some more aspects to this, but it is what starts to point you in the right direction. Because your life will change only when your vision is followed up by action. You have to be able to take action. Even with a clear vision, you must do something. And this is why goal setting, our next topic, is so necessary. So let's go into the third part about goal setting, and that is literally from getting from point A to point B. And again, this is why it's so important to have goals. But we can answer the questions by first looking at what it is to not have goals, because sometimes when we identify not having goals, that helps us focus on why it's so important for us to have goals. Because without goals, it's simple. We lack focus and direction in our lives. But with goals, we give our lives a course or a path that can lead us to success. Goals are like following a roadmap that's going to help us get from where we are to where we want to be. So let's begin to illustrate our discussion of the importance of goals by pretending for a moment that we're going to take a road trip. You ready for a road trip, Jerry?
I am.
Good. So let's pull out worksheet number 4, road trip. Imagine that in 1 week's time, and all the instructions are on your road trip, but imagine in 1 week's time that you'll be leaving on a road trip that will take you to an exotic location of your choosing in the country where you live. All expenses for this trip have been paid for. No plans have been made on how to get there. It's been left up to you to figure out the best way to get to this far-off destination. You can get there any way you like, as long as you target several stops along the way. Your trip must include the following planned stops. So here's the caveat. You've got to make sure that your trip involves these stops, and you've got to plan for them. You've got to visit 2 museums in 2 large metropolitan cities. An overnight stay in a cabin by a large body of water is one of the other places you have to stop. You also have to visit a professional sporting event along the way. Ooh, and you have to travel through a mountainous region. And remember, you have 1 week to reach your final destination. So here's your challenge. What route will you take to accomplish these stops and still end up at your final destination? So pause your recording. You can take as much time as you want for this one, but pause your recording and answer all of those questions on worksheet number 4. Have fun with it. Use your imagination. You also might want to consider some of these questions. How does a trip resemble the concept of goal setting? What might the required stops along the way represent or symbolize? And what might the means of transportation represent or symbolize? And what's needed for any successful effort to get from point A to point B? So again, pause for some self-reflection on those questions and finish that exercise. So Jerry, I know one of the things I thought about one of these questions is what might the means of transportation represent or symbolize? And because you and I know that, especially in dreams, whatever the vehicles are that we're traveling in actually have a lot to say about ourselves, but they also are very representational about us personally. So I thought about, would I take a car or a plane or a train or a boat? Anything that you thought about along the way that you would take?
Well, actually, I was still working on that because I had my destination in mind, but I really don't know all of the places between here and there. So I have to spend a little bit more time checking that out.
Yeah, this exercise obviously can take a lot longer time. One of the things that this question about what's needed for any successful effort to get from point A to point B, and again, this goes to you've got to take action. You've got to have planning. You've got to have some type of a strategy. You've got to be willing to take some action, and you might need some support along the way too. So this takes us into our next topic. Once we've established our goals, what are some of the most critical factors that we need to think about if goal setting is really going to work for us? So here you'll be going back to your worksheet number 3 with the pictogram. You're going to be filling out that right-sided column on worksheet number 3. You are looking at that slide about using SMART goals. So as you're looking at that worksheet number 3, Visioning and Goal Setting, I'm going to give just a short presentation on goal setting just to fill out the missing information on this worksheet, this pictogram, as it comes up in this presentation. So here's the thing. For goal setting, there are 8 critical factors to setting and achieving. Use the SMART goal. SMART is an acronym to help us establish solid goals, and the SMART stands for S for be specific. Be very clear about what will be accomplished. And you can write these down in that upper right side of worksheet number 3 for goal setting. M is measurable. Include a quantifiable way of tracking progress from start to finish. Quantifiable ways to measure. And you can even make this incremental if you need to. So that ties in with A, achievable, challenging, and at the same time realistic. And that's where chunking it down or making things incremental can really help too. And then the R is for relevant, in harmony with our core values and our passions. And T is for timely. It has a deadline attached to it. And remember, the subconscious mind, that's over 90% of what drives all of your beliefs and your behaviors, responds in present time. So the second thing here is to write your goals down. Your goals need to be written because there's an energy that comes along with this. And you see that right below on your worksheet there. The actual act of writing a goal down turns your desire into something tangible, and it gives it more of an energy to it. And the third thing is to personalize your goals. When writing a goal, always write it using that word I am. And doing this marks the goal as yours, giving you ownership over it, which will drive you to reach it. And the fourth thing is state your goals as if you've already achieved them. Make sure that you are wording your goals properly. Your mind operates in the now, in present tense. So if you want something, describe it in present tense. This way your mind will believe it to be true, which fuels it to become a reality. So instead of stating a goal as, I want to lose 10 pounds, just an example, reword it to reflect its accomplishment in the now, something along the lines of, I feel alive and healthy being 10 pounds slimmer. And the fifth thing is no worry. Eliminate worry, doubt, and fear, because worry, doubt, and fear create a negative attitude, and that manifests into negative experience in your life. If you've ever met a negative person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They seem to attract the worst luck. You've witnessed this dark side of negative thinking. I'm sure every single one of us, we've witnessed this ourselves and experienced it ourselves. And certainly it's probably obvious in a lot of people that you can instantly recall, right? And that's why it's important to replace negative thinking with positive thinking, because don't you like to be around people who are more positive? Be firm in immediately banishing any negative emotions and thinking. Remember, that's what we talked about last time, too, with the anxiotic negative thinking. And the sixth thing is remember the power of action. Taking action moves you forward. And, Jerry, you also use the bubble. You want to recap that one, too?
As the worries come in, I visualize this just sending them out in a bubble and acknowledging I've already dealt with you, go, and so you literally acknowledge that they're there and then release them.
So be firm in immediately banishing any negative emotions and thinking. And then remember the power of action, because taking action moves you forward. Because if you wait for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting forever. In fact, there's really no such thing as a right time or a perfect time to act other than now. Now is the perfect moment. And the seventh thing is burn the boat. Burning the boat literally means that when you reach a new shoreline, there's no going back. And why would you want to? Because when you commit yourself to achieving a goal, approach it as an all or nothing proposition. Achieving goals involves failure, your eighth step here. It's important to remember that even the most successful people have failures when pursuing their goals. This does not make them failures, but it does mean that they were willing to take risks. Don't allow yourself to be discouraged by failure. Instead, persevere. Often we must meet with failure to grow enough to be able to handle the success when it finally comes. You might want to pause the recording now and just look at that criteria and maybe write some things down for yourself. Jerry, do you want to go over those two key points?
Sure. Remember, in order to be successful, a systematic goal-setting approach must be designed and carried out. Review your goals carefully and make sure they reflect the 8 critical goal-setting factors on the current slide. Use those SMART goals. Number 2, write your goals down. Number 3, personalize your goals. Number 4, state your goals as if they are already achieved. Number 5, no worry, doubt, or fear. Number 6, remember the power of action. Number 7, burn the boat. And finally, number 8, goal achievement involves failure.
I think that's actually one of the most important things in that one is you've got to be willing to take some risks. And that takes us into this next topic. Now that you've been given an overview of both visioning and goal setting, and again, you can take as much time on that worksheet number 3 to keep going over that and use it. It's a great strategy moving forward. So let's introduce you to another tool. And this is part 4, the power of visioning and goal setting. And this is going to introduce you to a combination of 2 things. This is the strategic vision worksheet. And this incorporates the fundamental elements of both and will help you move forward in pursuing your vision. As you look on that slide, Fun in the Water, you'll see Discover, Dream, and Do. And you'll be turning to worksheet number 5, your strategic vision. In this first part, discover. Discover, clear thought, in other words. This section is all about having clarity of thought by asking this potent question, what do I want? Asking and answering what do I want can help you determine where you want to be. This question will reveal your deep desires and will move you towards a more fulfilling life. And then answer freely without limiting thoughts or thoughts of how it will come to be. So what do I want are very 4 powerful words. And the part 2 here is Dream, the hungry heart. This section is all about having a hungry heart by imagining a better, more exciting future through the question, what will it be like to get what I want? What will it be like to get what I want? In this section, you let the vision of your future ignite you. Here you can imagine yourself free from any limits of what your life will be like if you get what you want. This process will not only excite you, but make you hungry for the truth your heart already knows. And instead of feeling restless, you can now approach life with certainty about where you want to go. And then part 3 is the do part, the defined plan. This part has a potent question of what must I do to get what I want? What must I do to get what I want? Having a vision alone is not enough, because without goals, a defined plan in other words, it's unlikely that nothing will change. Here, goal setting takes front and center. Now is the time to live intentionally. Develop SMART, that S-M-A-R-T goals that will quicken your footsteps towards the realization of what you do want. A vision begins as a thought, but now it's time to make that vision real through the actions that you will take and the goals that you will accomplish. Now practice filling out this worksheet, this strategic vision worksheet. Think about something you want, describing a vision of what it will be like to get what you want, and identify the goals and actions necessary in order to obtain what you want. You might want to choose a more manageable want initially for this exercise, but you can always come back to it again and keep using it because the strategic vision planning is very, very powerful. And then you can always go big for a big want anytime that you want to turn back to this and do it again. So we've covered a great deal in this module, and we're going to summarize what it is that you've learned and are committing to so that you can apply this back in your life. There is something that we'd like you to answer for this next slide. And you see the my one word with a little plant, a seedling growing in the cupped hands. I think that's such a sweet picture. Take a moment to come up with one word that best sums up the learning that you're taking away from this module around visioning and goal setting. When you think about the topics and everything that we've covered, what's one word that best describes the knowledge that you've gleaned? Pause the recording, take a few moments. First word that comes to your mind. Now, Jerry, I know you and I have talked about some of the one word. we go through and facilitate this for people. This also is something that Jerry and I go through as a process too. So some of the one words might be possibilities, powerful, sustainability, or clarity, or excitement, having focus or direction, or believing. Jerry, do you have one word in particular that kind of encapsulates all of the teachings here?
I had focus, but the one word I picked to be the one word is empowerment.
That one word says a tremendous amount. And one of the words that comes up for me, too, is manifesting. Because really and truly, when you create this visioning and this goal setting, that is how you manifest the life of your choosing, where you want to go.
It was very hard to put it into one word.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. So as you look at this next slide, this Belgian author and naturalist Charles Dubois once said, the important thing is to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for, what we could become. So again, the important thing is to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. In other words, you have within you unlimited potential to make any dream that you have for yourself come true. Jerry, you want to go over those last few points?
The future is truly in your hands. What seems like only a tiny seedling today can become a mighty tree in the future. But your future depends on what you do now in the present. Create a vision with no hesitation, and then with goals in mind, head straight for it.
And that kind of is that picture in that last slide about projecting your tomorrow and heading for it today with that visioning and goal setting. So Jerry and I, as educators, like to encapsulate what did you learn.
The key points that we would like for you to remember, if we never ask ourselves the question, what if, we miss out on seeing what's possible. If you ask the right questions, the answers can be the start of a vision for your life. Visioning is a simple process of making a mental picture in your mind of what you want. A systematic goal-setting approach must be designed and carried out. Review your goals using the 8 critical goal-setting factors.
Perfect. And anytime you want to refer to that slide, encapsulates the entire process here for you. So that's it for this module. That you'll also notice that we've added some bonus sheets in your activity sheets. Let's be frank. Frank for S, fix the energy leaks. R, reach a higher frequency. A, affirm your success. N is for envision, and we also added, the K is also for know, to give thanks. And then on top of that, we also added a worksheet on this for my visioning quote. And there you can put that up anywhere on your refrigerators, in your cars, your office, in your bathroom mirror, wherever, to keep reminding you of projecting your energy forward. Jerry and I really want to thank you, and this was your last module in this series of transitioning through change, and we really hope that this has helped you begin to lighten up and thrive during times of change, and as we say, so that you can experience joyful living for mind, body, and soul. We look forward to having you join us for any other of our webinar or our home study series. And again, if you want to contact us, you see our emails, Jerry@lightenupandthrive.com on the last slide, Gretchen@lightenupandthrive.com, and also check into our 2 programs, Let Your Soul Shine by Jerry. It's an awesome program, and mine is Letting Go into the Flow. And you can visit us on our website, www.lightenupandthrive.com. ed.com, and we'd love to hear from you. We really hope you've enjoyed this entire series, and we look forward for you to join us in any future events that we are running for you. So thanks again. Any last-minute comments, Jerry?
Just that we've enjoyed having everyone gather for these last 6 modules, and we hope that you learned a lot and continue to move forward in your life and journey.
Perfect. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you. Enjoy the process and keep working on them. You can use all of these strategies to continually help your life and improve and set it in the direction that you want it. Thank you.